Have you ever wondered why people seem to dislike you, even when you've done nothing wrong? It's a feeling that can gnaw at your peace. But here's the truth. Sometimes their hatred isn't about you. It's about envy, insecurities, or simple misunderstandings. In this video, we'll uncover 9 reasons why people secretly hate you, rooted in ancient Stoic philosophy and modern wisdom. We'll explore how envy, jealousy, and even personal insecurities can poison relationships. But more importantly, we'll show you how to rise above it all, maintaining your inner calm, control, and dignity, as the Stoics did. Stay with me to discover how you can live with strength, free from the emotional chaos of others. If you find value in this journey of self-growth, hit the like button and subscribe to insert channel name for more insights on mastering your mind and emotions. 1. Envy and jealousy. It's a harsh truth, but one of the most common reasons people secretly hate you is envy. We live in a world where success, even happiness, can ignite jealousy in those around us. People see your achievements, your resilience, and it stirs something deep inside them. But it's not admiration. It's a painful reminder of what they think they lack. Jealousy and envy stem from personal insecurities. Instead of using others' success as inspiration, they let their feelings fester into resentment. Stoic philosophy teaches us that envy is not your burden to carry. It belongs to the person feeling it, not to you. Marcus Aurelius often reminded us to focus only on what we can control. And other people's jealousy is far beyond that control. When someone sees your professional success, or even the way you carry yourself with confidence, it can trigger feelings of inadequacy. They begin to measure their lives against yours, seeing their own shortcomings reflected in your achievements. These feelings can turn admiration into a silent hatred, one they may never express openly, but will feel deeply. The worst part is, envy often leads to destructive behaviors. Rumors, gossip, and even subtle sabotage are tools envious people use to bring others down. They might speak ill of you behind your back, discredit your work, or undermine your relationships, all to level the playing field in their mind. This kind of behavior is damaging not only to you but also to them, as it eats away at their own peace of mind. But what can you do about it? The Stoics, particularly Seneca, were clear on this point. You must stay grounded in your own truth. If others choose to hate you out of envy or jealousy, that's their problem, not yours. You can't control how others perceive your success or happiness, but you can control how you respond. Instead of feeding into their negativity, you stand firm in your purpose and focus on what truly matters, your inner peace and personal growth. You should never diminish your achievements just to make others feel comfortable. Stoic motivation reminds us that our actions must align with our values, not with others' expectations or insecurities. So if someone resents you because of their own internal struggles, remember that your path is yours alone to walk. By keeping the Stoic mindset, you protect yourself from being drawn into the emotional storm of others. Focus on what you can control: your emotions, your reactions, your integrity. When you live by these principles, the envy and jealousy of others will never derail your journey to personal fulfillment. 2. Misunderstandings and ineffective communication. Sometimes the reasons people develop a secret dislike for you have nothing to do with what you've achieved or how you live. Instead, it comes from a simple yet powerful source: misunderstanding. One misplaced word, a wrong tone, or even a misunderstood gesture can spark long-lasting resentment. Communication is at the heart of human connection, but it is also the root of many interpersonal issues. Stoic philosophy teaches us to be mindful of how we communicate, both in how we express ourselves and in how we interpret others. Many of us assume that what we say is understood the way we intend. But words, especially when mixed with emotions, can easily be misinterpreted. A casual comment, a joke, or even silence can be misread, causing others to feel disrespected or offended. From these small seeds of miscommunication, deep resentment can grow. Marcus Aurelius believed that we must always strive for clarity and intention in our words. When our communication lacks these, misunderstandings arise, and with them, unnecessary conflicts. This is why Stoic philosophers emphasize the need for control over our speech, so that we can avoid misunderstandings that harm relationships. What makes this situation worse is the tendency for people to hold on to these misunderstandings without ever seeking clarification. They allow a false narrative to build in their mind, interpreting your words or actions in ways that were never intended. Over time, these small communication failures grow into larger emotional divides, creating space for dislike, distrust, and even hatred. But how do you prevent this? The answer lies in two areas: effective communication and empathy. First, you must work on expressing yourself with clarity and calmness, especially in moments of tension. The Stoics remind us to avoid reacting impulsively. If you feel misunderstood, take a moment to pause, reflect, and then respond. By staying calm, you maintain control over the conversation and prevent escalating misunderstandings. Second, practice active listening. Instead of assuming others understand you or that you understand them perfectly, ask questions, seek clarity, and make sure you're truly hearing what the other person is trying to communicate. This not only helps prevent future conflicts, but also builds trust and respect in your relationships. However, even with the best intentions, misunderstandings are inevitable. In these cases, Stoic motivation teaches us to let go of what we cannot control. If someone chooses to hold on to a false belief about you, despite your best efforts, that's on them. Your responsibility is to communicate with integrity and empathy. Beyond that, their interpretation is beyond your reach. At the end of the day, misunderstandings are a natural part of human interaction. But by following the Stoic mindset, you can minimize their impact on your life, maintaining your inner calm and focusing on what truly matters. 3. Differences in values and beliefs. Another powerful reason why people may secretly dislike you lies in a fundamental aspect of human nature: differences in values and beliefs. We live in a world filled with diversity, and while that can be a source of strength, it can also lead to conflict. When your core beliefs clash with those of someone else, especially when they see their own values as superior, resentment can grow. It's easy to understand why. People often feel threatened when their values or beliefs are challenged, whether it's differences in political views, religious beliefs, or even lifestyle choices. These conflicts can quickly escalate into feelings of hostility. In many cases, the dislike is not about you personally, but about what you represent, a challenge to their worldview. In Stoic philosophy, we are taught to accept that differences in values are inevitable. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, each of us is shaped by our unique experiences and environment, and no two people will share the same path entirely. This understanding can help us approach these differences with a sense of peace and tolerance, instead of frustration or anger. But why do these differences lead to dislike? It's often because when people feel their core beliefs are being questioned, they take it as a personal attack. This triggers a defensive reaction, sometimes leading to deep-seated resentment. They may see you as an adversary, someone who stands against everything they hold dear. This us versus them mentality is common in situations where beliefs are deeply ingrained, and instead of fostering dialogue, it builds walls between people. What's worse, this conflict is intensified by snap judgments and stereotypes. When someone makes no effort to understand your perspective or beliefs, they reduce you to a simplified version of who you are, often based on prejudice. From here, dislike can evolve into full-blown hatred, especially when the differences tap into fears or insecurities they may not even realize they have. But there's a way forward. The Stoics believed in focusing on what we can control, and that includes how we handle these differences. Rather than reacting emotionally, practice tolerance and respect. Accept that not everyone will share your values, and that's okay. By fostering a mindset of open dialogue and understanding, you avoid getting caught in unnecessary conflicts. And remember, just because someone dislikes you for what you believe, it doesn't mean you need to change. Stay true to your principles. The Stoic mindset encourages us to hold firm to our values without being swayed by the opinions of others. Seneca reminded us that our integrity is our guide, not the approval of those who don't understand us. In the end, differences in values and beliefs are natural, and they don't have to result in conflict. By approaching these situations with understanding and emotional control, you maintain your peace and continue to grow. 4. The influence of rumors and gossip. Few things can damage a reputation as quickly as rumors and gossip. Often fueled by envy, jealousy, or misunderstandings, gossip spreads like wildfire, distorting reality and creating a false image of who you are. This is one of the most insidious reasons why people may secretly hate you. They believe a version of you that doesn't even exist. Gossip and rumors thrive in social circles, especially when there's a hunger for drama. They tap into people's insecurities and desire to fit in, making them eager to share stories without stopping to question their truth. In Stoic philosophy, we are warned against becoming entangled in these toxic behaviors, both as victims and as participants. Seneca spoke of the destructive power of gossip, reminding us to focus only on what we know to be true and to ignore the noise. But why do rumors create such strong feelings of dislike? It's because they distort reality. People who hear these false stories form opinions about you without ever knowing the real you. Once these ideas take root, they are hard to change. The person who believes the gossip begins to treat you with suspicion, even hostility. They see you not for who you are, but for who they think you are, based on half-truths or outright lies. This can be deeply frustrating. You may find yourself on the receiving end of unfair judgment, losing friendships or even professional opportunities because of something that isn't true. But as Marcus Aurelius teaches, we must let go of what is beyond our control. You can't stop people from talking, and you certainly can't stop them from believing what they want to believe. What you can control is your response. Instead of wasting energy trying to correct every rumor or defend yourself at every turn, the Stoic mindset tells us to focus on our own actions and integrity. Live in such a way that, over time, the truth will speak for itself. Let your actions be your defense. If someone chooses to believe false rumors, that's their problem, not yours. Rumors may shape perceptions for a time, but truth and integrity are far stronger in the long run. It's important to maintain your inner calm in the face of gossip. Stoicism teaches us emotional resilience, and part of that resilience is not letting others' opinions define us. People will talk, but their words hold no power unless you give them power. By staying grounded in your own truth, you rise above the negativity, unaffected by the lies that swirl around you. In the end, you can't control what others say or think. What you can control is how you carry yourself, with dignity, self-respect, and a commitment to truth. Let that be your guide, and the gossip will lose its power over you. 5. Personal insecurities and projection. A hidden but powerful reason why people may secretly hate you is due to their own personal insecurities. When someone is struggling with their self-worth or battling internal doubts, they often project those feelings onto others. Projection happens when people attribute their own fears, flaws, or failures to someone else. Instead of facing their insecurities, they shift the emotional weight onto you, turning their inner conflict into external resentment. Imagine a coworker who feels insecure about their career progress. They see you succeeding, thriving, and advancing. This might trigger feelings of inadequacy. Rather than celebrating your success, they start to resent you. The truth is, their dislike has nothing to do with you. It's entirely rooted in how they perceive themselves. Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control other people's internal battles, but we can control how we respond to them. Seneca often reminded us that envy and insecurity are closely linked. People who harbor these emotions feel trapped by their own limitations. When they see someone else achieving what they wish they had, it becomes easier for them to direct their frustration outward rather than inward. You become the target of their dissatisfaction, not because of who you are, but because you represent what they feel they lack. The reality is, you have no control over how people handle their insecurities. This is why Stoic philosophers urge us to remain detached from the opinions of others. Just as Marcus Aurelius teaches, you must focus on what's within your control: your actions, your mindset, and your character. If someone is projecting their insecurities onto you, it's not your job to fix it. You can't change how they feel, but you can remain steady and true to yourself. One way to manage this is by practicing compassion. Recognizing that someone's resentment is more about their own struggles than anything you've done can help you approach the situation with empathy. It doesn't mean you have to accept their negativity, but understanding the source of it can prevent you from taking it personally. In fact, understanding the Stoic principle helps protect your own peace. Projection can be toxic, but it doesn't have to derail your emotional balance. As long as you stay grounded in your values and focused on your path, the insecurity of others won't touch you. Remember, you can't control their internal struggles, but you can control how you react. Keep moving forward with resilience and emotional control. Their insecurities are not your burden to carry. In the end, the key is not to let someone else's unresolved issues pull you down. Stoic motivation reminds us to rise above the noise of others' judgments and focus on our own personal growth. By doing this, you safeguard your inner peace and avoid being drawn into the emotional battles that don't belong to you. 6. Lack of empathy and understanding. One of the most profound reasons people may secretly harbor negative feelings towards you is their lack of empathy. When someone cannot or chooses not to put themselves in another's shoes, it creates a gap in understanding. That gap often becomes a breeding ground for resentment, especially when they misinterpret your actions, words, or even intentions. The absence of empathy is a key factor that allows small misunderstandings to grow into deeper dislike. The Stoics believed that empathy is essential for harmony in relationships and society. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the importance of understanding human nature and accepting that others may not always see things the way we do. Without this effort to understand, it's easy for people to jump to conclusions or make snap judgments about you. This can lead to feelings of alienation, misunderstanding, and eventually hatred. In the fast-paced world we live in, people are often too caught up in their own lives to take the time to understand others. They may see your actions through the lens of their own emotions or biases. For example, a decision you made based on your personal values might be viewed as selfish or arrogant because they didn't take the time to see the situation from your perspective. In the absence of empathy, assumptions take over and resentment builds. When you encounter someone who seems to dislike you for reasons you don't understand, it's often due to this lack of empathy. They don't see the full picture. They only see what aligns with their emotions or judgments. Stoic philosophy encourages us to accept that we can't force others to understand us. We can only control how we choose to react. Just as Seneca taught, you should strive to maintain emotional control and not be affected by the judgments of those who refuse to see your perspective. To navigate this, you must stay grounded in your values and practice empathy yourself. Even when others don't extend empathy to you, respond with understanding. Instead of reacting with anger or frustration, pause and reflect. Try to see the situation from their perspective, even if they don't do the same for you. This will help you maintain your emotional balance and avoid becoming caught in a cycle of resentment. At the same time, recognize when a lack of empathy is creating unnecessary conflict in your life. Some people simply aren't capable or willing to understand you, and that's something you have to accept. The Stoic mindset teaches us to focus on what we can control, and in this case, it's your ability to maintain your inner peace despite others' emotional limitations. In the end, you cannot force empathy, but you can protect your own emotional resilience. By staying calm, detached from their judgments, and true to your principles, you continue to grow in strength and clarity. Let others choose their path, but remain steady on yours. 7. Competition and rivalry. Another significant reason people may secretly hate you stems from competition and rivalry. In both professional and personal environments, feelings of competition are natural. Healthy competition can push people to grow and improve, but when that rivalry becomes toxic, it can turn into resentment and even hatred. People may begin to view you not as a peer, but as an obstacle to their own success. This often happens when they feel overshadowed by your achievements or threatened by your abilities. Instead of focusing on improving themselves, they get caught up in comparing their success to yours. Stoic philosophy reminds us that comparison is the thief of joy. When people become obsessed with what others are doing, they lose sight of their own path. In these situations, rivalry can take on a more personal tone. Someone who constantly feels like they're in competition with you may begin to wish for your failure, thinking it will somehow elevate them. This mindset is destructive. Instead of celebrating your progress or using it as inspiration, they choose to harbor negative feelings. The Stoics warned us against this kind of thinking. Seneca spoke of the dangers of envy and rivalry, noting that these emotions only harm the person who feels them. It's important to recognize that you can't control how others respond to competition. You can't make them see that their resentment is based on their own insecurities. What you can do is stay focused on your journey, detached from their judgments or attempts to bring you down. The Stoic mindset teaches us to concentrate on what we can control: our actions, our growth, and our integrity. To navigate these feelings of rivalry, practice humility and focus on collaboration rather than competition. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the value of working together rather than against one another. By maintaining a sense of humility, you show that success doesn't need to be a zero-sum game. There's enough room for everyone to succeed, and your progress doesn't diminish someone else's worth. At the same time, you must protect your emotional well-being. Just because someone sees you as a rival doesn't mean you need to feed into that dynamic. You have the power to decide how much energy you give to these competitive relationships. Stay true to your path and let go of the need to prove yourself to others. Stoicism teaches us to rise above petty rivalries and focus on self-improvement. In the end, competition and rivalry will always exist, but how you respond to them determines your emotional peace. By following the Stoic principles, you remain grounded and unaffected by the negativity of others. Let their rivalry fuel your determination, but never let it disturb your inner calm. 8. Perceived arrogance or superiority. One of the more subtle reasons people may secretly dislike you is a perception of arrogance or superiority. Even if you don't intend to come across this way, confidence can sometimes be mistaken for arrogance by those who feel insecure or inadequate. People may interpret your assertiveness or success as a sign that you think you're better than them, leading to feelings of resentment or even hatred. This perception often stems from their own internal struggles. When someone feels inferior, they look for signs in others that reinforce their belief. If you walk into a room with confidence or speak with authority, they may view it as arrogance rather than competence. Stoic philosophy teaches us that we cannot control how others see us, only how we act. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that our actions should align with our virtues and not be dictated by others' interpretations of who we are. The key is to stay humble, even in moments of success. Stoicism values humility as a core principle, one that keeps us grounded despite external achievements. However, you shouldn't shrink yourself to make others comfortable. True humility isn't about downplaying your abilities. It's about understanding that your worth doesn't come from comparison or validation from others. If someone perceives your confidence as arrogance, it reflects their own insecurities, not a flaw in you. Yet, it's also essential to remain self-aware. Consider how you carry yourself in different environments. Are you open to other perspectives? Do you listen as much as you speak? Stoic philosophers emphasize the importance of balance, being confident but never boastful, and humble but never self-deprecating. If others interpret your behavior as arrogant, sometimes a simple adjustment in tone or body language can ease tensions. It's also important to remember that arrogance often leads to isolation. Those who are perceived as superior may find themselves alienated from others. Whether it's at work or in social settings, people may distance themselves, seeing you as unapproachable or difficult to relate to. This isolation can create a barrier to meaningful connections, which is why Stoic wisdom encourages us to practice empathy and openness in all interactions. So how do you respond when others misinterpret your confidence? The Stoic mindset tells us to remain steady, focused on our values, and true to our path. Don't let the fear of being perceived as arrogant stop you from embracing your strengths. At the same time, approach others with humility and respect, knowing that their perception of you is shaped by their own insecurities. In the end, perceived arrogance is often a reflection of others' internal struggles. By staying humble, practicing empathy, and keeping your emotional control, you navigate these situations with grace. Let others think what they will, but always stay true to your character and Stoic principles. 9. Unwillingness to conform to group norms. Another reason people may secretly dislike you is your refusal to conform to group norms or expectations. In every social or professional setting, there's often an unspoken pressure to fit in, to behave in ways that align with the group's collective values and habits. When you stand out, whether through your actions, beliefs, or even silence, it can make others uncomfortable. People may see your nonconformity as a threat to the status quo, and that discomfort can quickly turn into resentment. Stoic philosophy teaches us to live according to our own principles, regardless of external pressure. Marcus Aurelius frequently emphasized the importance of staying true to yourself, even when others don't understand or approve. This unwillingness to bend to societal expectations is a hallmark of strength, but it can also lead to isolation. People who value conformity often react negatively when they see someone challenging what they consider normal. The reality is, nonconformity exposes insecurities in others. When you refuse to follow the crowd, it forces people to question their own choices. They may wonder why you don't feel the same need to fit in, which can trigger feelings of inadequacy or fear. Instead of examining these feelings, they may project them onto you, resulting in a secret dislike that grows over time. But should you change who you are to make others feel more comfortable? Stoicism tells us no. Your values, your beliefs, and your path are uniquely yours. Trying to fit into a mold that doesn't suit you only leads to internal conflict and frustration. Seneca reminds us that peace comes from living in alignment with our true selves, not from meeting the expectations of others. At the same time, nonconformity doesn't mean rebellion for the sake of it. Stoic wisdom encourages us to be thoughtful in our actions and respectful of others, even when we choose a different path. You can stand firm in your beliefs without being abrasive or dismissive. By practicing empathy and clear communication, you can reduce the friction that often comes with nonconformity, helping others understand your perspective without feeling threatened by it. It's important to recognize that, while some may resent your unwillingness to conform, others will respect your courage and authenticity. People are often drawn to those who live with purpose, even if they don't always agree with them. Over time, your consistency and emotional resilience will earn you respect, even from those who initially disliked you. In the end, refusing to conform is about embracing your individuality. By staying true to your values and maintaining emotional control, you avoid the internal conflict that comes from trying to fit in where you don't belong. Let others react how they will. Your peace comes from within. In conclusion, as we've explored, the reasons people secretly dislike you often have little to do with who you truly are. From envy and personal insecurities to differences in values or the spread of gossip, these negative feelings usually reflect the other person's inner struggles. Stoic philosophy teaches us that we cannot control others' opinions, but we can control how we react. Stay grounded in your integrity. Maintain your emotional balance and focus on what you can change, your own growth and peace. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button and subscribe to Insert Channel Name for more wisdom on mastering your mind and emotions through Stoic principles. Let's keep growing stronger, wiser, and more resilient together.